in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. While you shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get ready for race number 31 of Season 6 of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. We're getting to go racing here at the road course of Lime Rock. It's the second race of the second round of the chase for the championship, so technically chase race number 5. These drivers getting set to go racing here at what, and honestly, is one of my all-time favorite road courses. Not only to see these drivers drive on, but ironically enough, just about maybe 3 days ago, I actually ran an online league race at this particular racetrack, this configuration. Had a blast. I love this racetrack. I have early ties to it. Back when I used to race Sports Car GT, there were 2 tracks that I always ran. One was Lime Rock and one was Chatham, which they actually have made for 2003 as well, but I haven't figured out how to have good racing there. Otherwise, it'd probably be on the schedule. But enough of that. Let's get focused on today's race. We have 12 drivers that are still battling for the championship, and next week at Madrid, the Super Speedway, we will have whittled it down to 8. So this is basically, when you think about it, the setup race for next week's elimination race at Madrid. And so drivers that are starting near the rear of the field, that need a really good run, they're going to have to fight their way up here, possibly have to rely on pit strategy, because I don't think they can make it the full 25 scheduled laps on fuel. And those drivers that are up here near the front, they need to really capitalize. You look at drivers like T Dunham starting on the pole position. The defending champion would love to make it into the Elite 8 as he tries to become the first multiple-time champion in the Hersheys Cup Series. You also got D Voyles right there starting off in the 5th position. Now, Voyles comes into this race in the critical 8th position in points, the spot that everyone's trying to be above. So Voyles has got good starting position here today, and we'll see if he can capitalize on that. And you look a little bit further back there, you go back to about 12th place. That's where J Arndt is sitting, and he comes in 12th of the remaining 12 championship drivers. He's 14 points behind the cut line. So we'll see if with a fairly good starting spot here today, if he can utilize that to be able to get himself into a good position heading into our elimination race next week at Madrid. Without further ado, though, it's time to go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports as we fire them up at Lime Rock.
Drivers, start your engines!
Command is given. You can check down the description below for the full starting lineup for today's race and see where the 12 championship drivers are going to be starting today's event. It's time to give you your playoff standings coming into today's race, presented by Golden Corral. Benjamin Miles, after a good run last week at Oswego, he is the points leader by 1 point over Zachary Fitzwater. 5 points back in third is the pole sitter T Dunham. J Baskinger is 4th in the standings. He's only 7 points out. 10 points out in 5th, that's Dallas McIntosh. 11 points out in 6th is Anthony Curry, and only 12 points out in 6th is, or in 7th rather, I should say, is Tim Walsh. So it's actually really close for the top 7. Daniel Voyles, we mentioned, comes in the critical position, 8th in the point standings. And then if you look at the drivers behind him, if you use Voyles as the cutoff driver, Charles Sandfer's 9th in points, 2 points behind 8th place. Brooke Allen 10th, she's 7 points out. R Reynolds is 11th, he is 6 points out, he is 8 points out, I should say, and 14 points out, as mentioned before. J Arndt, 12th in the standings. Lime Rock has kind of been a cornerstone racetrack ever since the inception of the Hersheys Cup Series, debuting back in Season 1. We have 3 former winners in this field here today. Season 1, the debut winner was Zach Flickinger. Season 2, Nathan Hudson. Both those drivers down the Pizza Hut X Series. But Season 3, it was Joseph Srigley. Season 4, it was Levi McIntyre. And Season 5, Brandon Gonzalez. As a matter of fact, for Levi McIntyre, he's now on a 72-race winless streak, as it was 2 seasons ago here at Lime Rock. That was his last Hersheys Cup Series win. Joseph Srigley's last win was back at Arizona in Season 4. And Brandon Gonzalez, of course, won earlier on this year in one of our dual races at Eldora. So we'll see if lightning can strike twice for any of those drivers. Trent Dunham went to victory lane earlier on this season at Rockingham, North Carolina, trying to get his second win of the season and lock himself up a spot in the Elite 8. Chris Dodd, he hasn't been to victory lane since last year at Texas when he was a 2-time winner, also winning the Daytona 500. Pace car is going to peel off onto pit road, and we're getting ready to turn him loose. 25 laps of racing, and caution flags are on, which is something we normally don't have here at Lime Rock either. Green flags in the air, though. Chase race number 5 is underway. Let's roll. Gallighan running a little wide through that corner, almost had 2 tires off the racing surface. And that dirt edge that's just on the perimeter of this racetrack, if you get off track there, it kills your momentum. Chris Dodd looked a little loose through that corner, had to lift a lot sooner than Trent Dunham, and Trent, as a result, will take the top spot as he gets off course a little bit. That's going to open up the door for Johnny Gardner to maybe go for the race lead. Gardner is going to clear for the top position. Johnny Gardner, native of New York, neighboring state here to Connecticut. And we will complete the first lap under green as Chris Dodd will move by Trent Dunham for the second position. Voyles now moving into third. So that would put Voyles the highest rank of the playoff contenders. K Shearer, who was recently eliminated from the playoffs back in round 1. He's up here in this fight for 5th place. Benny Watson as well there in the 24. And last week's winner, Sean Gallighan, as Chris Dodd got off course a little bit there. Now he's going to lose second to Voyles and third to his teammate K Shearer. Cars off course there. Voyles got 2 tires off the racing surface, as did Chris Dodd. Johnny Gardner, though, pulling away. Johnny Gardner, his last win was back in Season 4, and it was at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So it's been a long winless streak for Johnny Gardner, and you also look at the fact that Gardner comes into this race 37th in the points, the last possible position you can be to keep a charter for next season. So I think this team feeling the pressure, realizing they need to have something good happen. Maybe here today they can get their first win of the season, and what would be their first win in just about 2 seasons. For Gardner coming into this race, it'd be a 74-race winless streak he's on. As the caution is out for the first time here today. Yellow flag waves on lap number 3. And you got to wonder if it involved any playoff drivers. And this might be a caution a number of drivers were looking for, that maybe they can pit here under yellow and maybe they'll make it the rest of the way on fuel. I don't know. As Gardner's going to lead them down here. There was a car on pit road, and I think it might have been the 77 of Alex Drayton who got eliminated from the playoffs at the end of round 1. So Gardner leads. Dunham was second. Watson, Voyles, Shearer. And then it was Chris Dodd, Collard, Poteet, Mathews, and Shane Lake was the top 10. James McCloud, looks like he was involved in a lot of damage on that 51 as the Amazon Echo Chevrolet is smoking badly. He's coming to pit road. Daniel Gilbert was collected up in that, and the 4 who had a good run going last week at Oswego before he had some kind of a fuel issue. And it was indeed the 77 of Alex Drayton that I saw on pit road. So 2 of the Tweenix cars were in it. Sean Gallighan, last week's winner, looks like he got involved in this. He's got damage, and the same for R.J. Reynolds, one of our playoff contenders. A lot of right side and rear damage on his Goodwill Loves Travel Stops Ford Fusion. everybody else might be okay. Is there damage on the 15? Nope. So at least 5, maybe 6 drivers involved, one of them a playoff contender. And let's see if Johnny Gardner and the rest of the field come to pit road this time, or are they going to stay out? If you cannot make it on fuel with having to pit this time, there's no point of coming to pit road, because you're just giving up valuable track position, especially if you're up here near the front. And it looks like little cat and mouse. Gardner stays out. Dunham's going to give up second place to come to pit road. Watson stays out. Voyles and Shearer are in. Chris Dodd's going to stay out. So it looks like a number of our playoff drivers, they're not going to risk it. They're going to come into pit road and hope and pray they can make it the rest of the way on fuel. Well, as I say that, J Sandfer actually stayed out. So he'll restart in 4th. Kat Batson also stayed out. She'll restart 5th, and it looks like it was the top 5 drivers who decided not to come to pit road. So they are obviously planning that this thing is not going to go green to the end, and they're going to get to come to pit road at some point under another yellow flag. Everybody else is coming to pit road thinking it's going to go green to the finish. So as Johnny Gardner leads the way here under caution, let's see what brought out the yellow flag for the first time here today at Lime Rock, as we should be going back green in just a moment. Here's a look at it, and they tried going 3 wide through one of the most treacherous parts of the course. It's hard enough to go double wide here. It's hard enough to just go single file. You see Anthony McCurry get off course further back there. But there you see the 3 wide with Gilbert, McCloud, and Reynolds. That did not work out well, and it's very difficult to see, but as you see the 4 and the 69 slide, you might be able to barely see it down the bottom left. You can see right there, that is a steel guardrail. That is a steel fencing area. And that just rips the car apart when it hits. So Gilbert had a lot of damage, even roof damage you can see there on his machine. Reynolds with a lot of damage. And let's see what happens here to the 2 Tweenix Racing teammates with McCloud and Drayton. Oh, wow. McCloud had it saved, and then he drove into the right rear of his teammate Drayton. 77 gets turned, and they both go off course, and they're going to suffer the same fate that both Gilbert and Reynolds did. Both going to hit that fencing. Wow. And both those cars very easily are done for the day. So a 1-2 punch takes out 2 Tweenix cars. We're going to have to see if R.J. Reynolds continues. I think maybe Gilbert took a brunt of the hit into that fence, so maybe Reynolds will be able to continue, but he'll probably be off the pace. But that is what brought the caution out for the first time here today at Lime Rock. Let's go back for the green. And the one nice thing about the caution flags here at Lime Rock is we have road course yellows, which means that once the pits are open, the lights go out top the pace car and we go green the next time, which means we'll go back green with 20 laps remaining. Now the top 5 drivers came to pit road. Did not come to pit road, I should say. Gardner, Watson, Dodd, Sandfer, and Kat Batson, yes. They did not come to pit road. Trent Dunham on back, they did come to pit road. So a number of those drivers that started up near the front that gave up track position to come to pit road didn't lose a whole lot. Trent Dunham pitted from 2nd. He'll restart in 6th. We have 2 drivers out of the race, the 2 Tweenix drivers of Alex Drayton and James McCloud. And when they go back green, we will tell you where everybody restarted in terms of your chase drivers, because right now the field's kind of jumbled up with drivers that pitted and drivers that didn't, so we will wait until they cross the line and officially score everyone before we tell you where all of your remaining 12 playoff drivers are going to be. We know for certain J Sandfer is 4th, Trent Dunham is 6th, but what about the rest of the 10 other playoff contenders? We'll find out in a moment. As the pace car hits pit road, Johnny Gardner will lead them down here to the green flag. And now the question is, those drivers that came to pit road under this caution, can they make it the rest of the way on fuel, or will they have to pit at least one more time? We know that these top 5 are going to have to come to pit road at some point. So as they've all crossed the line, it's going to be Sandfer restarting 4th. Dunham was 6th. Voyles is 7th. J Arndt in 15th. Fitzwater was 20th. Baskinger 21st. Benjamin Miles became the points leader 27th. Tim Walch back in 31st. Dallas McIntosh in 33rd, as we may have a battle for the lead here. Oh, no. Are they going to go 3 wide? Oh, no, they don't. Oh, my goodness gracious sakes alive. I thought they were going to go 3 wide there with Dodd, Watson, and Gardner. But R.J. Reynolds, rather, he's 35th. Anthony McCurry in 36th. Brooke Allen back in 38th. And that is where your playoff drivers are running, as it's side by side for the lead. Chris Dodd, Benny Watson. Watson led that lap. Trent Dunham right there, the first driver that had come to pit road in 6th place, battling right now with K Shearer. All these other drivers ahead of him have about 3 more laps on their tires, as you saw. I think that was, someone got out of shape. I think that was Kat Batson. Chris Dodd up on off the course, and that'll put the lead to Charles Sandfer. And I don't know if you saw it, but we are under caution for the second time here today, and this is a caution that I think Sandfer, Chris Dodd, Johnny Gardner, Kat Batson, Benny Watson, they were all hoping for. And they got it. Sandfer's going to get a bonus point for leading the lap here too, as he'll bring us down here to the yellow flag. I don't see any drivers on pit road, so nobody had to teleport to pit lane due to this yellow flag, but the caution is out once again. And some skid marks again there out of turn number 2, but I don't know if that's necessarily where the yellow flag was from. Oh, nope, there's some smoke lingering right there. Right where they just passed is probably where the wreck was. I saw some skid marks there too. Let's see who was collected. Another playoff contender, Dallas McIntosh, was in this. McIntosh came into this race, I believe, 5th in the point standings. So, see if he can get that car repaired. Not a lot of damage, just some rear end damage on his car. Dylan Young, though, has got a lot of damage. Wow. Just about every side of that car has got some kind of damage. It looks like R.J. Reynolds may have more damage there. Yeah, oh wow, he was caught up in this one for sure. A lot of front end damage now on his machine. Caution is out for the second time. Charles Sandfer out in front, and McIntosh will come off pit road, still on the lead lap. So McIntosh trying to keep his playoff hopes alive as Charles Sandfer leads us under the second caution of the day. He'll probably hit pit road along with the 88, 7, 24, and 70. I'll be surprised if they don't. Maybe everybody else will come to pit road along with him. Let's see, does Dunham stay out? Or does Dunham come to pit road? He comes to pit road, so I think this might be the indication everybody's going to be good to go on fuel now, since everybody's coming to pit road. Maybe someone will stay out. We'll find out in a minute. Let's go and take a look at what brought out the caution for the second time today at Lime Rock. And I beg your indulgence for the next few minutes of this video. If my commentary seems a little bit choppy, I'm currently in the process of watching the Roush Fenway Racing press conference in regards to the 6 car. You saw back there, and we'll go back to that in just a moment, the contact between future teammates Dylan Young and Levi McIntyre. That might have actually been what brought the caution out, but we're going to focus here. Oh my goodness! Oh my word. Dylan Young just flew in front of the field. He hit the hill. Oh my word. I have not seen that in that section of the course. Oh my goodness. Hold on a doggone second. Wow. Watch the, oh my goodness. I've seen it happen over in the tunnel turn, but never in this section. Watch here. Dylan Young, Levi McIntyre, they make the contact. Neither one of them, it looks like, go up into the fencing area. They both kind of save it. But Dylan Young goes up the hill, decides not to get off the throttle, and watch this. He never lifts off the hill. Oh my word. There's a first time for everything, and that's a first for me. Slides into the passenger side door of Dallas McIntosh. Anthony McCurry's going to get a piece of that. Brandon Gonzalez, former winner here, he got a little tiny bit. There you see McIntyre. He at least had the good sense to get off the hill. But where is Reynolds, and where does he get his damage from? Oh, it might be right here. Dylan Young sideways, and Reynolds just never lifts. He just drives into the 2. Well, I think this warrants an onboard. I want to see what these guys saw when that 2 car came flying in front of them off that hill. What did Anthony McCurry see? Let's check it out. racing. Incredibly enough, nobody is declared out of the race after that incident. Still only J McCloud and Alex Drayton are 2 retirees. And one driver decided to do the strategy. Kyle Mathews decided to stay out under that yellow flag, so he goes out in front and will restart as the race leader over K Shearer, Trent Dunham, Dylan Poteet, and Charles Sandfer. Looks like it's Chris Dodd, Joseph Srigley, Joshua Collard, Elijah Gilbert, and Zachary Fitzwater. That will be your top 10. And I don't know if you noticed it, but back when we were watching the onboard with Anthony McCurry, it looked like Daniel Voyles had kind of gotten off track and faded back a ways in the field, so we'll keep tabs on him. Of course, he's one of the pressure drivers coming to this race, came into this race 8th in the points standings. And again, we can't show you where your playoff drivers are restarting because the field's all jumbled up with drivers coming to pit road, but we can tell you that Trent Dunham is 3rd, Sandfer is 5th, and Fitzwater is 10th, so we know at least those drivers in the top 10 for your playoff contenders. All 12 playoff drivers are still running and still on the lead lap. Some of them do have damage though. Dallas McIntosh we saw caught up in that incident and also badly damaged is the 69 of R Reynolds as the green flag is back in the air once again at Lime Rock. So did Kyle Mathews save enough fuel under that run to maybe make it the rest of the way as he's looking for his first win of the season? Mathews hasn't been to victory lane since... Is it really that long ago? Looking back here and... Yeah, wow. Season 4. Dodge Motordome. Battles on for second. K Shearer got a little off course there. Oh, wow, he got the tire barriers. Makes contact with Charles Sandfer. Sandfer saves it. Nice job by Charles Sandfer to hold on to that thing, but K Shearer hit the tire barrier there through the tunnel turn, and he and Sandfer just about wrecked. Nice save by both cars as Trent Dunham slots into second place now, trying to run down Kyle Mathews. So you got a couple of former Hersheys Cup Series champions currently in first and second place. Oh, we got a car on the outside of the track there. That was Brooke Allen in the 3, a playoff contender, and the caution flag is out. Caution flag waves for the 3rd time as we are just nearing the halfway point. Had a potential battle there for a second between Trent Dunham and K Shearer, but that faded away quickly. And we got a couple cars on pit road. One looked like Joshua Ciculli. I couldn't make out the other. J Baskinger is in trouble right there. You just saw him have to teleport to pit road, and his teammate J Arndt as well. That's 2 playoff contenders right there, and a 3rd in Brooke Allen in trouble outside of the steel guardrail of the racetrack. So now, on our 3rd caution, we're starting to see more playoff drivers struggle with this road course. And let's take a look and see what happened. Kyle Mathews leads the way. We'll see if he gives up the lead to come to pit road under this yellow or not. And there you see the 3 of Brooke Allen has still not gotten back to pit road. She may have to teleport. Well, this did not bring out the caution, but since it involved a playoff contender, we should focus on it here. Brandon Gonzalez, last year's winner, takes the corner way too deep. Gets into the left rear quarter panel of Brooke Allen. And he's going to send her around. And as we saw, Brooke Allen was not able to get her car back on the course, was on the outside of the course, and that's really going to hurt her. She's probably going to fall a lap down or so. Brooke came into this race situated in the 10th position in points outside the cut line. Needed a good run here today to have a shot next week at Madrid, and that's not going to be the case for her, at least right now. Now, see if we can find out what actually brought out the caution. Let's jump up here to the 05 of J Arndt, because he, we know, is a driver that got involved. Almost looks like there might be something going wrong with that race car. He's slow. Oh, he came to pit road of his own accord. Okay, so he had some kind of mechanical problem. Let's find the 38 of Baskinger. Oh, we had a spin on the front stretch. That's what happened to bring the caution flag out. So J Arndt, I think, is a lap down now, but if the leaders pit, he might be back on the lead lap. We'll have to see. Let's see what happens here off the final corner. Joshua Ciculli and Blaine Keys, the 73 and the 42. This is ahead of J Arndt coming to pit road, so Arndt did not in any way cause this caution with coming to pit lane. Daniel Voyles off course a little bit there, and then he tries to come back on track, and Ciculli's already there. Also had the 12 of Cody Smart come to pit road there for an unscheduled stop. And you saw right there, the 73 was straight. As soon as he hit those tire barriers, it literally just grabs your race car, and that's what spun him around. And I think he might get clobbered by Baskinger here in a moment, and that's why the 38 was smoking. Ooh, Shelton's going to get involved. Wow, hard hit for her. Anthony McCrory, another playoff contender, was in this one. And Baskinger gets into Shelton there with the left front. McIntyre got a little bit of damage from that. So 2 playoff contenders. Wow, that's a hard hit into the steel guardrail there for the 38 of Baskinger. And I'm not sure. Yeah, Reynolds going to get involved as well. So we had 3 playoff contenders get involved in that wreck. McCrory, Baskinger, and Reynolds. So while J Arndt had to come to pit road and may end up losing a lap, a number of playoff contenders got involved in this wreck, though. McCrory came into this one 6th in points, Baskinger 4th. That was a big wreck there on the front straightaway, and it looks like we may have at least 2 playoff contenders out of the race as a result of this one. Well, green flag will come back out on lap 14 of 25, and we are certainly setting up for what will be a very interesting elimination race heading into Madrid, because we have 3 drivers out of the race now that are playoff contenders. Baskinger out of the race in the 38 car in 36th. Anthony McCrory will finish in 38th. And actually, I'm sorry, there are only 2 drivers that are playoff contenders that are out of this race. But you've also got Brooke Allen 2 laps down in 40th. She's just now returning back to the track. And of course, J Arndt is 1 lap down. I thought he might actually stay out and get his lap back, but he didn't. He came to pit road with then leader, with the race leader Kyle Mathews. So very interesting there. So he'll stay a lap down and restart 35th. Trent Dunham is going to be the race leader over K Shearer, Charles Sandfer, Elijah Gilbert now up to 4th, and Chris Dodd in 5th. And it's going to be Benny Watson, Joseph Srigley, looks like L Alvarise, Dylan Poteet, and Joshua Collard is going to be your top 10. Trent Dunham trying to lock himself into the round of 8. So is Charles Sandfer. Right now, those are the only 2 playoff contenders that are up inside of the top 10. We've worked 3 cautions so far here in the first half of this race, and I'm currently in the process of seeing Mark Martin being the driver that's going to be a part-time driver in the 6 for the Monster Energy Cup Series. That's pretty cool. Charles Sandfer just got dunked by Elijah Gilbert, and this is going to be a big wreck. Gilbert, Srigley, Alvarez involved, everybody trying to make their way through. Poteet's not letting Charles Sandfer get turned around, and they're all losing valuable spots as a result. They gonna let that 03 turn around? Any second now. There they go. Alvarez has got a lot of damage now. And as we're under our 4th yellow of the day, K Shearer actually got around Trent Dunham to lead us back to the caution. Oh, now they're calling in Matt Kenseth to the press conference. Sorry, my attention span is definitely split right now. Anyway, K Shearer now leads us under caution, and we'll have less than 10 to go when we go back green. Let's jump back and see what happened between Elijah Gilbert and Charles Sandfer. Well, Let's see how this is going to work. I don't know if maybe something happens ahead of Sandfer that causes him to check up. And then Elijah Gilbert gets into him. Oh no, Sandfer just got off the course a little bit there. Gilbert drifts up through the corner and slides up and gets Sandfer there in the right rear quarter panel. Sandfer was having a good run, was up in the top 10 for most of this race. And there you see Gilbert's going to sideswipe Benny Watson, gets nailed by former winner at this track, J Srigley, and Alvarise nowhere to go. Boy, he got the hardest, I think, did Alvarise, as he hit the steel guardrail as well. Sandfer didn't have a heck of a lot of damage, but he lost a lot of spots because D Poteet wouldn't allow him to get turned around. J Gardner also suffered because of that, as did Shane Lake. See all these drivers going by there. Voyles and Keith. Comes Blaine Keys. Miles, I think, gets through. Gallighan gets through, and even the damaged car of R Reynolds picks up some spots because of this. So that's what brought out the caution. Sandfer is going to lose a lot of track position as a result of this one, but we're under yellow. Let's go back now for our next restart. Well, K Shearer went to victory lane earlier on this season, very early in the season at Rio de Janeiro, got eliminated from the playoffs after round 1, but certainly would love to pick up his second win of the season, third of his, or would actually be his fourth of his career. K Shearer's never had a multi-win season. Went to Indianapolis victory lane back in, I think it was season 4. Last season, of course, went to victory lane at Dover. And as we mentioned earlier on this season, went to victory lane at Rio. He's going to have to hold off Trent Dunham, though, who we managed to get around when we came back to the caution flag. I think these drivers are now good to go on fuel with the caution laps we've run. Benny Watson will restart in 3rd. Chris Dodd right there in 4th. Joshua Collier, don't count him out. He's been slowly making his way up through the top 10. He's now up to 5th. Fitzwater right there in 6th. Great run for him. J.T. Bryant, Keith Batson, Elijah Gilbert, and Daniel Voyles. We saw him struggling early. He's now up in the top 10 in 10th place. After the incident, I don't think we have anybody out of the race. Oh, yes, we do. L Alvarise out of the race. He'll finish 36th here today. Still a lap down, J Arndt. Still 2 laps down is Brooke Allen. And Charles Sandfer will restart all the way back in 33rd. Last car in the lead lap after that wreck. Now, I believe K Shearer got around Trent Dunham around the configuration where the bus stop is, so we'll see if Trent repays the favor here on this restart. Kev gets a little wide off that corner, but managed to get back in the throttle. Now it was right around here where Kev made the pass on Trent for the lead the last run. Oh, Kev got a little off course, and here comes Trent with a big run towards the tunnel turn. Wow, Kev did a good job keeping his foot in the throttle, though. He'll hang on to the spot. And it'll actually be a battle for second as Benny Watson closes the gap here on the defending Hersheys Cup Series champion for second place. K Shearer with about half a second between himself and Trent Dunham that lap. And if this battle continues to brew for second place, Kev will be able to focus on just running good lap times, keeping his car on the racetrack, and maybe continue to gap himself back to these drivers. I think right now the last thing Kev wants to see is a caution flag. We've already run 4 of them here today, basically in the first half of this race. Well, now let's drop back towards the rear of the field, see about some of our playoff contenders that may not be running so well. Right now, Trent Dunham, Zachary Fitzwater, Daniel Voyles looking good. How about Tim Walsh? He's up here in the top 10 now. Just took 10th place away from Daniel Voyles, so he's having a good run. Let's drop back here to the rear. Dallas McIntosh back here. We saw he had gotten involved in a wreck earlier on. He's not exactly having a solid outing right now. There's Charles Sandfer. He picked up a couple spots since the restart. He's had a strong car. There's R Reynolds just trying to salvage what he can with that damaged machine. He's been involved in 2 wrecks today. Go quite a ways forward before you get to another driver. There's Benjamin Miles battling with the lap car of J Arndt. Miles is last time by scored at 15, so there's only a few drivers near the rear that are struggling right now. Sandfer, McIntosh, Reynolds. We had a battle for the lead. K Shearer going to lose the top spot to Trent Dunham. He also loses second to Watson and now third to his teammate Chris Dodd. So something messed up K Shearer. He's not exactly made it through the tunnel turn all that great. And I think maybe it was the tunnel turn that hurt him on that lap. Oh, we got a car off course. Car spinning. That's Elijah Gilbert. He saves it, but he's going to be on the outside of the track. Now brings it back up. Ooh, careful. Almost into Benjamin Miles. Nice save by Elijah Gilbert. Loses a ton of positions, though. He was 7th and faded back to around 15th place because of that. Back up here, we got a battle now for third. Benny Watson lost second to Chris Dodd. Now third place to K Shearer. Got CJ Racing 2 and 3. And how about JT Bryant? Great run right there for the Young Motorsports Ford Fusion, as he'll now battle for fourth place with Watson. And here comes Joshua Collard. Keith Batson right there as well, but right at the moment, it's all Trent Dunham out in front with 5 laps to go. Trent Dunham's got to hit his marks here. Remember, if Trent wins here today, he goes into Madrid next week completely worry-free of making it into the round of 8 as he tries to defend his Hersheys Cup Series championship. Chris Dodd, former Daytona 500 winner, former champion, trying to get his first win of the season here at Lime Rock. He gets off course a little bit, and here comes his teammate K Shearer. Try and take second place from him. Can't do it. Chris Dodd keeps himself in the second spot, and boy, K Shearer again. I think he may have brushed the tire barriers again. Boy, I'm surprised that car doesn't have left side damage. He's at least 3 times hit the tire barriers. And those tire barriers are unforgiving, so I'm shocked that he doesn't have left side damage, and somehow he's still up here in the top 5. So we got a battle on for second. Zachary Fitzwater with a good run. 3 wide. 3 wide. Tim Walsh got forced off track by Brooke Allen. And he's going to hit the steel guardrail. Oh my goodness. Tim Walsh just got forced off track by a lap car. And Brooke Allen, maybe trying to keep her playoffs hopes alive, just forced him off course, and the caution flag is out, and I assume it's probably for the 15. I mean, there's a difference between racing for a position and a dirty move. That looked like a dirty move to me. Chris Dodd got the tire barriers that time, as Benny Watson will move by for second. And the last guy that wanted to see that caution was probably Trent Dunham, because we will probably get back green for a 1-lap shootout at least. Car on pit road, I'm assuming it's the 15 of Tim Walsh that I just saw. Yep. Wow. Also got some cars back here that were running up towards the front. They might have actually been the reason for the caution. Keith Batson, Benjamin Miles, and Blaine Keith back here. They may have actually been what the yellow came out for. But we obviously saw what happened to Tim Walsh, and I think there's going to be some words between Tim Walsh and Brooke Allen after this race. Brooke Allen was a lap car. Tim Walsh was running up inside of the top 10. Just got forced off the race course. So, Trent Dunham, can he hang on for one more lap? It will be a 1-lap shootout when we go back green. Let's take a look and see what brought out the caution for what potentially could be the final time here today at Lime Rock. Let's follow it back going into turn 1. Well, I mean, I can kind of see how Brooke Allen was between a rock and a hard place. She literally got forced 3 wide by Joseph Srigley. And then the car swings wide. And to be fair for Brooke Allen, she only made a tiny bit of contact with Tim Walsh, and then Walsh got off the course, and that's what kind of got him way out there. And then he tries to turn it back and just hits that guardrail there. I've hit that guardrail. I hit that guardrail in the online race that I ran. But, man, that is a tough break for Tim Walsh. I mean, you look at this, the playoffs he has had so far. He ended up finishing 42nd at Chicagoland. He finished 40th at Kentucky. He was able to win to get into the next round of the playoffs. And Indianapolis. Oh, and look at this. We've got Blaine Keys, Benjamin Miles, and Keith Batson, who actually came to pit road. So they may be close on fuel. Trent Dunham, I don't know if he's going to have to come to pit road here under this caution or not. That's interesting. Some drivers were really close on fuel here in the closing stages. But now, Tim Walsh, you look at him last week at Oswego, he didn't exactly have the greatest of runs when he ended up finishing in 22nd, and now it looks like he's going to finish out of the race in this one. Is Walsh going to be in another must-win situation heading into another elimination race? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But the good news for him is a number of other playoff contenders have struggled here today at Lime Rock as well. Let's go back and get ready for the restart. See who's going to take the checkered flag here at Lime Rock today. Well, how quickly things changed. Trent Dunham could not make it on fuel. He had to come to pit road under this caution. That turns the race lead over to Benny Watson. And we should have been getting the 1 to green signal, but the lights are still on atop the pace car. And I don't know if that's because we have lap machines or not. So this race looks like it may end up ending under yellow flag conditions. And so we got to watch them coming here out of the final corner. Can Watson, Chris Dodd, K Shearer, all these guys, can they make it on fuel, or are they going to have to come to pit road? And they're all going to avoid the pit road entrance. This race is going to end under yellow. Wow. Trent Dunham literally gave up a race win and a potential ticket into the next round of the playoffs coming to pit road. If I were him, I'd have stayed out. Run the thing out of fuel. If you run out of fuel here under pacing, who cares? At least you have a shot of winning the race. So it looks like this race will end under caution. The white flag was just displayed, and history is going to be made here today. For the first time in Hersheys Cup Series history, a rookie will be a 3-time winner in a Hersheys Cup Series season. Benny Watson took his first checkered flag back at the short track, the Monster Mile, if you will, of Dover. He then followed it up with his second win of the season at Daytona, and here today he will pick up career win number 3 in the Hersheys Cup Series, becoming a 3-time winner as a rookie. That is if he makes it back to the checkered flag. Watson along with Collard and Matt Haas were 3 rookies that had 2 wins in a single season. Matt Haas eventually went on to be a Hersheys Cup Series champion. Benny Watson, who got eliminated from the playoffs at the end of round 1, just trying to finish out the season as best he can, and certainly going to do that here today if he closes it out with a victory. I mean, Benny Watson, to be fair, had, really if you think about it, only a couple really bad races in the playoffs. Chicagoland, he ended up finishing in 25th. Kentucky, he was 41st. And Indianapolis, he ended up having a 21st place finish. So he had a horrible round 1, but round 2 has been really good. So you think about if he had still been in the playoffs. He ended up finishing 4th last week at Oswego, and it looks like he's going to win here today at the Lime Rock Raceway. Let's see if he will stay out on track here. I don't know why he wouldn't, as the pace car will lead him around here to the start-finish line. I don't know where Trent's going to finish this race after having to come to pit road. Looks like he'll be 28th. A couple of other drivers had to come to pit road too. Joshua Collard, who was up inside the top 10, could not make it on fuel. So Benny Watson, he'll lead him down here, and he will pick up his 3rd checkered flag of the season. What a rookie year it has been for the former Pizza Hut X Series champion. It's official. Benny Watson wins here today at Lime Rock Raceway. And there was a car that just hit pit road. Driver just hit pit lane. Couldn't make it on fuel to the finish line. That was Elijah Gilbert. Gilbert's going to finish way back in the field now, probably around the 32nd position because of that. I don't know where he was originally running at the time. And lights are out top the pace car, which means everyone's crossed the start-finish line now, so the standings will probably be official. Benny Watson, 3 wins, 3 different tracks. Mile track of Dover, the super speedway of Daytona, and now the road course of Lime Rock. Chris Dodd and K Shearer, good run for those 2 teammates as they'll get 2nd and 3rd. JT Bryant brings it home in 4th. Highest finishing playoff driver today was Zachary Fitzwater, as he'll finish in 5th. Sean Gallighan follows up his win last week at Oswego with a 6th place run today. Joseph Srigley, nice run at a track he formerly won at. He finished 7th. Kyle Keith was 8th. Daniel Voyles there in 9th and Shane Lake in 10th. Only 2 playoff contenders finished in the top 10 here today, Fitzwater and Voyles. And of course, we mentioned Voyles coming to this one was in that critical 8th position in points, so this may get him away from the danger zone. And I think Fitzwater will take the points lead over heading into next week's race at Madrid. Where'd the rest of our playoff contenders finish? You gotta go quite a ways down before you get to Charles Sandfer. 21st place, and he was the 3rd highest finishing playoff contender here today after getting involved in an early wreck. 22nd was R.J. Reynolds. 23rd was Dallas McIntosh. Benjamin Miles, 26th. Trent Dunham in 27th, after he looked like he was possibly going to win this race. And then J Arndt finished a lap down in 33rd. 2 laps down was Brooke Allen in 34th, and then a number of our playoff contenders finished out of the race, including Walsh in 35th, Baskinger in 37th, and McCrory in 39th. Now, obviously, I'm not going to take the time to do a lot of calculations in my head, but the way it looks right now, there's going to be a couple of drivers that may be able to head into next week's race at Madrid, knowing they'll move on to the round of 8, and I'm only seeing really one to my knowledge, and that'd be Fitzwater. Everybody else, it's going to be close for the point standings between everyone else going into Madrid, so I can't really tell you right now who'd be in the danger zone and who wouldn't, but Lime Rock has certainly played its part into this season's playoffs and sets us up for what should be a doozy of an elimination race next week at the Madrid Superspeedway. But Benny Watson makes history today, becoming the first 3-time winner as a rookie, taking the checkered flag at Lime Rock. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to become part of the crew. Today we have shown you full feature results. These are your rookie points, your overall points, and your playoff points heading into next week. Next week, Madrid hosts all 3 series. For the Tax Layer Truck Series, it's the first race of their 2nd round of the playoffs. For the Pizza Hut X Series drivers, it's their first race of their 2nd round of the playoffs. And for the Hersheys Cup Series, it's their elimination race of the 2nd round of the playoffs to determine who will be our Elite 8 for round 3. But till then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching Production NNSCRA Offline Racing as Best. We'll see you guys next week at Madrid Superspeedway. Goodbye from Lime Rock.